Hi there, welcome to my video where I try to survive 10 hours of survival vanilla Minecraft here on this SMP world. In this world, we started in a huge cherry blossom valley that had plenty of potential to do some building and exploring. Right off the bat, I did what every good Minecrafter would do, and I started punching a tree. This time an oak wood tree, to be specific. Oak wood, always a staple, a classic. I don't think it's anybody's favorite, maybe it is, but it's always a solid wood type. But then birch, maybe not as popular. I don't mind it, but it seems like with some of the new wood types and even this pale wood that's coming out, birch might be a thing of the past. So I made a crafting table and some sticks to be able to convert that into a wooden pickaxe. With that wooden pickaxe, I got underground and started mining some cobblestone. I tried to mine just enough cobblestone so I had all 4 of the tools that I needed and also a furnace. Then I collected some petals, some like pink petals, so that I could maybe put them in my base wherever I end up staying. In this first hour, I just wanted to get all the basics down and find a place to live, and that's exactly what I did, but not before slaughtering some animals and some monsters just to survive the first night. Then I found some coal hiding in the side of a mountain, and that was helpful so that I could start getting some torches. Then when doing some exploring after a few days, I found 2 wolves, and one of them I tamed, but then the other one was killed by a skeleton. Nevertheless, I still had a wolf friend with me, and then he and I traveled to this one end of the spawn valley and saw that it was unoccupied by nobody else on the server, so I then claimed it as my own and had my dog sit down, so that means it's mine. Next, I made some chests to put all my junk in, and this is kind of how I was looking after the first hour. Made sure to light up my area so that I wouldn't get killed by mobs. I also made 3 iron pickaxes because I wanted to get even more loot from the caves. After making some torches, I started a 3x1 tunnel that went underground. I found iron pretty quickly in a cave, and the loot just keep coming from there. I found vein after vein of iron, and I don't really mine copper, but there was copper there, I guess. At hour 2, I had been doing a bunch of resource gathering, and I was also planting down a ton of saplings nearby because there wasn't really natural tree growth in the area of this valley where I spawned. There was even an emerald here, and yeah, I just did a bunch of natural gathering and also just some AFKing. In hour 3, I had 51 iron to work with, and so I made a bunch of armor and tools, so I was well equipped for the next part of the game. I didn't really have any goals other than to make a base for these 10 hours, and so this iron tool upgrade was kind of a big deal for me. I made full iron tools and iron armor before then making 2 buckets because I wanted to get into farming. I knew that the animals wouldn't last forever, especially in the valley if I keep killing them, and so I planted down as many wheat seeds as I could. After I planted down those wheat seeds, I felt like doing some more farming, and I didn't really want to keep taking up places in the valley, so I just dug a farm underneath the first one. This would be helpful to collect them all at once, and I wouldn't have to travel too far to collect my crops. My vision is that each level of the farm would be a different crop. And so for this level, I thought I might plant like potatoes or carrots or pumpkins or whatever I found next. I also needed more and more wood, and I didn't want to keep planting saplings randomly, so what I did was I made a very easy makeshift tree farm where I just put slabs around saplings and then a fence around all of it, and called it a tree farm. After putting some gates down and then also thinking, well, I need a sign, so I labeled it for anybody else that wanted to use it, tree farm. Here is the final results. In hour 5, I had gathered quite a bit of different loot here, or not even loot, just like raw materials, and so what I did is I started smelting up a bunch of stone because I wanted to start my first base. I've been playing for 5 hours already. Who knows how serious this is all going to be, but I thought, well, I need a base, so I started mining into the side of the mountain here and making a base. I decided to make a big staircase because I thought that'd look cool, and I started using cherry wood, not because it looks good, but because I like the color pink. So I started using my cherry wood and then digging into the side of the mountain. And yeah, it's pretty easy to just make a base out of digging because you don't have to like make the walls or the roof or the floor because it's made of stone. So that's exactly what I did. I had iron pickaxes, so it was a little bit frustrating, and part of me was tempted to mine diamonds, but I didn't really do that until after a while of breaking iron pickaxes. Then I headed down to Y level like 58 so I could start mining some diamonds. Here was my first diamond vein. Felt pretty satisfying. I had 31 levels on me, so I also wanted to do some enchanting, but lapis and diamonds and deep slate is pretty much all you can ask for. It was pretty sweet. After all that, I had about 10 diamonds, and so I took 3 of them and made a classic diamond pickaxe. Took me 6 hours, but now I'm mining some obsidian. I'm not like speed running the game, but if I was, that would be pretty embarrassing because 6 hours to get obsidian is not all that fast, but that's okay. After doing that, I grabbed some sugar cane and then also the limited amount of leather that I had, and that was just enough to make an enchantment table. With this enchantment table, I could finally crack into the 33 levels that I had on me, and so I put it down and put unbreaking and efficiency 1 on my diamond pickaxe, and then pretty much protection and unbreaking and like efficiency 1 on everything else. After all that enchanting business, I was back down to 13 levels and thought it's time to get back to work in cultivating this land. So I started adding another layer to the farm, and so now I had 3 layers, with wheat being on top, carrots in the middle, and nothing on the bottom just yet. And then hour 7, here is what my base looks like after tunneling into the side of the mountain. I just made a little circle shape and then kept going with all of the, cultivating the land thing. So now I've got some cows, some pigs, there's even sheep and chickens around here somewhere, but I ended up making pens for the cows and the pigs so that I could start getting like a reliable food source that was of meat, not just bread. Also, I decided to do some more tunneling in the side of the mountain so I could have this little viewpoint. I thought it was pretty cool. It doesn't really serve a purpose yet, but that's okay. Next, I made another diamond pickaxe because I needed a second one from all the work I was doing, and did 1 bookshelf now for enchanting and only got efficiency 1. That's okay. Next, I made an anvil and then combined the 2 pickaxes to get efficiency 2, unbreaking 1. After breeding up my cows quite a bit, I was getting more leather, and I was also growing sugar cane. Here you can see all the sugar cane I had planted, and I finally was able to get like a reliable amount of books. Once I had too many bookshelves, I decided to just go up and make a full new tunneled out room that had my enchantments set up in it. Here I put down a good amount of bookshelves and then an enchantment table in the middle with an anvil on the left side, and I was just shy of being able to get me a level 30 enchant, but I still enchanted with Unbreaking 3 to get efficiency 3 and Unbreaking 3. I also made a diamond sword, which was an upgrade from my iron one, and got Unbreaking 2. Now, even more tunneling later, I made this tunnel up to like a garden rooftop area of sorts, where I just put a bunch of fences and cherry blossoms up here to kind of make, I don't know, just a chill spot. That's all I gotta say, just a chill spot. In this chill spot, I finally found a place for all of my pink petals, and this was the final result. After chilling on my chill spot, it was time to slaughter some innocent animals, so then I headed down and got some more leather for my enchantment setup, and these poor cows had no idea what was coming. But yeah, I made some more books here. This time I actually could make a ton of books, and so I made just enough bookshelves to make my level 30 enchantment area, and I was able to get Silk Touch and Efficiency 4 on my first enchant, which was pretty sweet. Combining my pickaxes together, I had Silk Touch, Efficiencies 4, and Unbreaking 3, which was exactly what I wanted. And then my sheep army started growing, as well as my chicken army, because I have now more animals than ever before. I also gathered up 14 obsidian and 1 flint and steel. Everybody knows what that means. I am going to the nether. It's been 7 hours of Minecraft. I'm going to go to the nether. Once I got to the nether, I really didn't feel that motivated, and then kind of came home. I did some more enchanting with the levels I got and just kept chugging on and upgrading my gear. I made some more iron armor and then also just kept enchanting, trying to get Fortune 3, and I never did except for Fortune 2 on this enchant. Then I made a diamond axe and diamond shovel to fully kit out my tools, and then my sword got a really good enchant of sharpness 4 on breaking 3. After doing some of that, I had enough diamonds from doing more mining to get full diamond armor. It's been 8 hours of playing, and I have one thing to do, and it's to name my dog. I thought Dinnerbone was a really cute name, and then all of a sudden he just started doing backflips. I didn't even know what happened. Here is another project I was going to do. This is kind of my last project for the last 2 hours of playing, where I wanted to make a showcase room, or like a armor room of some kind, so that's what I ended up doing. Here is a auto composter where I can put seeds in the top and then they'll filter down and make bone meal. I also dyed all of my sheep red so that I could start getting some red wool for this showcase room, and here it is. Look at that little carpet down the middle. Are you kidding me? That's royal right there. One of the last touches was to put glowstone in the roof so that it could be bright and shining on all of my expensive gear. I also wanted to put down armor stands so I could actually put armor in there, and then I also made a bunch of item frames so that I could display some items in there. I mined up some quartz to make it really shine, and then started decking out some of the armor stands. I felt like Iron Man just gearing up my closet here. I didn't even have that good a gear yet, which makes this kind of embarrassing. I guess I could have crafted some gold stuff or whatever, but it did look good to just put up some random bows and weapons and tools. I also had lots of iron on me, so I started making some more expensive lanterns, and I put lanterns over the armor stands so they could be seen even better. In hour 11, I started by stripping all of the cherry wood into my base, and then I did the same thing on the back side of my base, but then actually kept digging because I wanted to make myself a storage room. Here is a cut up version now of me carving out the inside. I made a slightly bigger room than the original one because I wanted to put a lot of chests in here. I wanted to try to cover most of the items I would get mostly in Minecraft. And then yeah, here's a time lapse of me just kind of digging up this place and putting down some tuft, and yeah, this took most of the hour here just digging this out and filling this in. But here's kind of what the temporary project looks like. And then I made quite a few chests. I wanted to try to cover all of the walls, so I made about two and a half stacks of chests and then put them all around the inside of the wall, 4 high. This would be plenty of storage, and it would probably get me through most of this playthrough of Minecraft here. And I hope that I don't start overflowing on items, but I made just enough chests so that hopefully I have items for overflow as well, and I can always use shulker boxes in the future if I wanted to. Here, I thought I would decorate it with some gold blocks. I made 25 gold blocks and then basically put like 5 in each of the 4 corners, and then I started placing down like a little crafting station in the middle with an anvil and an ender chest. And here is the finished product without items put in. But of course you have to put in all the items, so I started labeling the chest by each ore type and each mob drop, block, etc. So here's finished product. Next, I found these like skeleton horse guys that spawn on me. I'm pretty sure I knew this was in the game. It's a pretty rare spawn. I finally got 2 skeleton horses and then ran them down to my own place where I hooked them up to a fence post. Now it was time to do some exploring. I really didn't spend much time in the first 10 hours exploring, so now in this second half of the 20-hour playthrough here, I'm going to start doing some exploring. I found a village which really doesn't have that good a loot, but I did find a fun black wolf and then tamed him, and then just kind of went through the houses grabbing all their stuff. Eventually, after the village, I came to this mangrove swamp, which is a pretty rare biome, so I made sure to grab the mangrove sapling so I could start using that in my own base whenever I wanted to. I always love these trees in the wood type because it's new and I'm just not used to that in Minecraft. Next, I started taming horses. This one I think was pretty fast, and so I ran off with him, and then also came back to my base because it was time to do some enchanting. I had 32 levels from all my expeditions, so here I made myself a diamond sword, the classic. Once I crafted that, I went to the enchantment table and got looting 2, which is honestly a big step up for me, especially if I was going to go to the nether and try to grab wither skulls or something like that. I just feel like I'm not wasting time anymore when I'm killing mobs. I found this bastion here in hour 13 and really just started hacking away at all these piglin brutes. They are tanky though. Oh my goodness, I almost died a few times in this playthrough of going through this bastion. So eventually I found the middle where I got banner pattern, but nothing special, and then eventually came upon another chest where I got soul speed and the famous smithing temple netherite upgrade, which is something huge I definitely needed and will be used later in this 10-hour playthrough, or 20-hour playthrough that is, as you'll see. I found more chests here, this one also having netherite scraps, which is huge. Made sure to grab that as I was getting confused by piglins. And then finally I bridged over to another fortress that I saw nearby and conquered this thing. I really needed blaze rods, so that was my main intention, and I also killed some wither skeletons on my way. Here the loot was pretty good, especially for horse armor and saddle, so I made to take advantage of that, and then grabbed 2 lecterns to go out and look for some villagers because I really needed mending book enchants. I was tired of my armor breaking, and it's really not that hard. As those of you more experienced Minecraft players know, mending is not that hard to get. You just have to basically find a village and, you know, keep them covered until you can start doing the rest of your enchants. But here I'm just blocking them in, and then eventually I just made like this rectangular prison essentially where I kept the other villagers in hour 14, and then I started stealing their beds also and putting them in my prison. And finally they all just thought, you know what, prison's not that bad, I'm gonna go check it out, get a bed, and that's how you get you. So yeah, I started throwing bread at them to start breeding, and shortly after that I watched them all breed because I don't know, I just wanted mending. Eventually I got a librarian and he learned mending, and so my first trade with a villager was for a mending book. Also, I used their own wheat and traded it back to him to get more emeralds so I can get more mending. It's like a whole cycle here. It's actually pretty bad now that I'm saying it out loud, but who cares? So I was able to get more and more mending books over time, and eventually I made Fletchers, which trade basically wood or sticks into emeralds, which is a pretty solid way to make emeralds early game. And so that's what I did. I got emerald after emerald, and I had all these books with me, and so I got plenty of mending books. Now I had 6 or 5 on me, and I made an anvil so I could start putting those mending books on my armor right away. In doing this, having mending on my armor, when wearing the armor, the XP from trading with villagers just goes right into repairing my armor, which is sweet, and I also put it on my Silk Touch diamond pickaxe. Next, I had a huge double chest of sticks that I had prepared by cutting down trees nearby, and so I just did the same thing. And as you can see, I'm not actually collecting XP, but I am repairing my armor, so it's sweet. And I just got more and more mending books. You can never have enough mending books, unless you have too many mending books, of course, then that'd be too many mending books. But yep, tons of mending books. Next, I actually put mending on the rest of my tools, so now my sword and shovel and axe. And then I went to a trial chamber in hour 15. This is my first time ever doing a trial chamber. I didn't really know what to expect. I know this one was like partially already looted by somebody else on the server, but that was okay because there's still plenty of mobs to attack and loot to go around, especially if I drank an ominous potion or whatever, which I didn't know this at the time. I ended up coming back later. But here I go. I got a trial key, and I didn't really know what to do with it, but then I ran around and eventually found this thing and got an achievement, and the loot was pretty bad, and so I was like, well, I thought I was gonna get a mace or whatever, but that was okay. And then yeah, kept doing this trial chamber in hour 15, and I was just like checking it out. I thought it was cool. I'm glad Minecraft added this. It's just something new and unique, and anytime they update the game, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna check it out. I don't really get the pots either, but I guess they're cool decoration. And I got another trowel key, and same thing, like decent loot, but nothing crazy. Later on in hour 15, I also go back to the nether because I just wanted to do some more exploring there. And this bastion just had way more loot than the first one, which is sweet. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm glad I have my ender chest on me too, because I was putting a lot of this loot into the ender chest. And in this chest, I actually got the pig step CD. I know a lot of people like that thing, so I'm glad I got it. And then right after that, oh my goodness, spooky, scary skeleton. Just in time for Halloween, I got a wither skeleton skull. I also started collecting blaze rods because I didn't really get that many the first time I was in the nether, and so this was my main objective. So I got plenty of blaze rods, as you can see, almost a stack and a half, and turned it into blaze powder and ender pearls. Everybody know what that means. I made some eyes of ender. I was getting ready to go to the end, and the server was eager to do the same, and so I started tracking down the end portal, and eventually I found it, but turns out somebody on the other server had already kind of marked it out for me, but that's okay. We're planning on doing the ender dragon fight anyways soon. And I also just went to the library and stole some bookshelves. Also got this cool eye armor trim. Okay, and then filled out the ender portal, but I'm going to save it for a little bit later. After that, I went back to my base, put all my loot away, and then grabbed a ton of pumpkins, yes, pumpkins, and started shearing them all. I'm sure there's a faster way to do this, but I just manually sheared all these pumpkins. It probably took a good portion of hour 16, to be honest with you, but I sheared all these pumpkins and made a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns with torches and, you know, carved pumpkins. I also made a bunch of birch fences because my plan was to light up the entire valley. Yes, you heard that right. The entire valley, I wanted to light it up with jack-o'-lanterns, not TNT or anything crazy like that. So I started this longer project of just putting jack-o'-lanterns on these birch fences so that they, you know, like look like little scarecrows or whatever. It's kind of a decorative piece, I guess. But yeah, I lit up the whole valley with these jack-o'-lanterns, and my thought was, once I'm all done, I can like fly over it and it will look so cool. Then I drank my ominous bottle into trials, tricky trials, whatever, because I realized that from a YouTube thing that I definitely missed this. So I went back, and then of course the mobs were so much harder, which made me feel good because I was like, okay, well, the loot's gotta be better, right? And that happened to be true, kind of. So I started beating up all these guys, and eventually I got this ominous trowel key. And yeah, I don't know if I was supposed to get more than one or just one. Maybe you can tell me in the comments, but I actually did get some decent loot here, including this flow armor trim and a density 4 book, which I'm assuming is for like the new weapon that comes from the tricky trials. And in hour 17, I triggered a raid. So I started beating up all these guys, and I realized my gear's actually pretty good, especially since I put mending on everything. My armor's not gonna break. All I gotta do is make sure I eat enough steak so I don't die. But yeah, these raids definitely got harder the farther into the raid I got. Even these big dudes, I can't remember their name, but Ravagers or whatever, they were kind of tough for me. I even was like going to die, but the good thing is I kind of wanted to test my totem of undying anyways, so it ended up working out. And eventually I got Hero of the Village. I used that to trade for a lot of cheaper trades with the villagers, and one of those trades happened to be for bows because I wanted a better bow to get ready for the Ender Dragon fight. So here I basically combined my 2 best bows to get Power 4, Punch 1, Unbreaking 3, and Infinity. Love Infinity. And of course now that means it's time in hour 18 with Infinity to take on the Ender Dragon. There was 4 of us on the server taking on this Ender Dragon, and vibes were good. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, my back hurts from carrying this fight a little bit too much, but yeah, I was knocking out all the crystals. The Endermen were kind of bullying me, but that's fine. And after taking out all the crystals, you guys know what time it is. I drank this strength potion that I got from the tricky trials, and it was go time. The Ender Dragon never stood a chance, to be honest with you. An Infinity Bow is such an OP thing to have, especially when you're a bow master. And I got the last hit with my sword, and got the Free the End achievement. And as soon as this happens, especially on a server, I don't know if you guys know this, it is only your job to grab as much experience as possible. Nobody else is touching that, just you. I mean, it's okay to be a ball hog sometimes. And then I picked up the dragon egg, and I also threw it to everybody else just to make sure they had the achievement, and then went to the remote gateway to start looking for an end city. And after not long, sometimes it's taken me a very long time, I found an end city and got the achievement. And yeah, this was awesome because it had a ship, and those of you who don't know, if their end city has a ship, that means there's an elytra, and so I went to grab the elytra too after this. But yeah, the gear was decent, the sword was good, the pickaxe had mending on it. I was getting good loot even though the city wasn't that big, and then once I made it to the end ship, I made sure to grab the dragon head because it is a very beautiful decorative piece for your house. And I also beat up all these shulkers with my looting sword, trying to get as many shulker shells as possible for some shulker chests, I guess. And then here was some more loot before I headed home and moved on to what would be a pretty easy enchanting session. Usually when you have 54 levels, it's not too hard to do some enchanting, and so I did a good shovel enchant, and even enchanted like a chest plate and a pair of pants. All I was trying to do was just get the best enchants possible, because I knew coming up in hour 19 I would start moving on to some netherite mining. In the nether again, I was trading with some piglins. My goal here was actually to try to get as many like fire resistance potions as possible, because I wanted to be able to do some netherite mining, and I knew that I would have to touch some lava just to get deep enough, because usually there's like a drop off before you can get down to the lower Y levels in the nether. Eventually, after I traded so much of my stuff, especially just melting through all my gold stash, I got quite a few things here. Most importantly, the fire res and like a lot of these soul speed books, which you can't get from anywhere else. And so I made my shulker boxes with my shulker shells, and then threw all of my stuff into the shulker boxes. Now it was officially time to do some netherite mining, and you might be wondering, then why are you making beds? Beds explode in the nether, and so this is my favorite type of netherite mining. And I know TNT is probably better, but I don't really feel like grinding or putting all my gunpowder into that just yet. So I went down, drank my fire res potion, and then dug very deep into the ground to start looking for netherite. I know it's blue, I'm going to be honest. I felt like cheating a little bit, and so I put on this resource pack that makes netherite blue. So yeah, basically all that does is help me spot it easier. It's not like I'm like X-raying or anything, I promise. But yep, I got netherite, plenty of blue netherite here, and my goal is to get enough for full tools and armor, and usually it doesn't take too long, you know, definitely doesn't take more than an hour, and I knew I was getting close to my 20-hour limit here for this video, so I was mining as fast as I could, trying to get as much netherite as possible. And here it was a huge success. I had 29 ancient debris just from mining, which definitely would be enough. And so I enchanted it, or not enchanted, I smelted it all, and then grabbed my other ancient debris, and then started making other things that I needed to do the upgrades, like my smithing table. Another thing I definitely didn't take into consideration at the time was I needed the smithing template, but I'm just so glad that I found it earlier in the video, or else I totally would have forgot about that. So here I made 7 netherite ingots, and then finally made my 8th, which was exactly what I needed. And yeah, upgraded my smithing templates over and over again to get as many as possible. I actually ended up making 8 total, which is like the number I needed exactly, but I didn't want to use up all of them because I wanted to be able to use the template again. So I'll have to go some diamond mining in the future so I can do that. But for now, I'm enchanting or upgrading almost everything except my pickaxe for now to get full netherite. And then in hour 20, my only goal was to finish my jack-o'-lantern project. I thought it was such a cool idea, and it seemed pretty easy, and I had all the pumpkins for it. And so I just kept working on that, and then also decided to make a little statue for my dragon egg. I didn't think it'd be too hard. I just started using some of the materials I had in my base, like end stone and purple glass or whatever. But here is my ender dragon egg statue, and then I put a head over there and then by my bed. And yeah, I was pretty proud of myself for my building skills. Then I made 3 stacks of fireworks, and this is the final project I did. Look at all those jack-o'-lanterns. That's going to be it for my 20 hours video. I really hope you enjoy. I put quite a bit of work into this, so thank you. And if you want more, let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.